Today, I want to take a closer look at AI or machine learning from the perspective of an artist. And after taking a look at what this technology is and how it works and how it changes the creative community, I'm going to tell you how AI stole my own art and how I think about the entire topic as an illustrator. Lately, there's been a lot of talk about AI-generated art and text on the internet, and it has caused a lot of discussion in the creative community. AI generators are using artworks and texts and all kinds of intellectual property to generate new versions of it, without the consent of the human creators. It is already changing our culture and raises a lot of questions about the value of creating any kind of art. How AI is changing the creative industry. For all of its current limitations, AI and computer-generated images or text could make a huge part of today's creative industry obsolete in the near future. If you use artificial image generation tools like Stable Diffusion or Midjourney to put together illustrations, think of editorial illustrations, children's books, book covers, and let language models like ChatGPT write your texts. Think of essays, articles, novels. You don't need artists or writers anymore. Or do you? This is not just a dystopian fantasy, it's happening all over the web and in the real world right now. The publisher Tor Books recently had to admit they had been using an AI image generator for the cover art of one of their books. There is even a children's book that has been created entirely through the new technology. It was written using ChatGPT, and the illustrations were generated with Midjourney, an AI image generator. You just need to take a look at it to see that right now, it cannot really replace human writers and illustrators. But give the technology a few years and this might look very different. The internet is also already being flooded with text generated through ChatGPT, with no one really fact-checking them. I've heard from a freelance writer who has been contacted by their client. The writer's services wouldn't be needed anymore for writing entire texts, but the client offered them to edit text generated by AI to make it sound more human, for a much lower fee. BuzzFeed recently announced they will use AI for content creation, and their stock went up 200%. They will also cut their workforce by 12%. There are schools which have already banned ChatGPT because students, of course, will use the technology to write essays for them, with no consideration for, let's say, historical facts. The text generator also likes to balance out more controversial topics in the sense of false balance. For example, it will give arguments why colonial racism or the Holocaust might not have been entirely negative. I hope you can see why this is a very scary development. From a more poetic and existential perspective, right from the heart of an artist, the musician Nick Cave has commented on what he thinks about ChatGPT writing song lyrics in the style of Nick Cave. And soon, the internet might become unusable through tools like this. Even now, the internet is already flooded with bullshit texts that sound like they've been through a translation engine a few dozen times. Maybe you've already noticed that searching for high-quality information on the internet has already become almost impossible. The search results are filled with scammy sites that are just generated and optimized for search engine results, mainly to squeeze a bit of ad money out of them. When I search for things like what's the difference between Mac and Windows computers, or what are foods with a lot of iron, or even how to care for your hamster, I either get a spammy bot-generated site with nonsense text, or a video that has been created by someone who reads those spammy texts out loud. This will only get worse with tools like ChatGPT, but hey, at least we'll get AI-generated art next to it to brighten up the text. And it's already happening. There are questions on Quora, a platform for getting answers to questions posted by its users, that are flooded with copy and paste answers by ChatGPT. In this case, it was not as bad, because the questions were also generated by ChatGPT. You can often distinguish AI writing from human writing through its tendency to provide very long, non-committal answers, a bit like writing when it's optimized for search engines. Which makes sense if the language model sources a lot of its texts from the internet. Of course, you need to make sure that your precious AI language model itself isn't trained on those stylistically questionable robot-written texts, but only on human texts, so there will likely be a watermark to make sure of that. I'm sure there will be similar watermarks in AI-generated images. And this will also be the business model behind ChatGPT. Imagine how you can sell this stuff to schools or newspapers, because they depend on detecting AI-generated texts. By the way, Microsoft has already planned to make AI text creation a part of MS Word. Who is funding and creating these AI tools? Billionaire investors are funding Silicon Valley startup companies with venture capital, who then build these tools. The same kind of people who have brought us social media and corporate platforms that destroy existing communities and the way societies and the public work. The people behind this proudly call this disrupting and breaking things. Let's take a look at our AI friends. The Lion 5B dataset that provides the data for the image generator Stable Diffusion is put together by a group funded by VC Capital. Their website, lion.ai, not going to link it directly, says, "We believe that machine learning research and its applications have the potential to have huge positive impacts on our world and therefore should be democratized." Democratizing, in this case, simply means stealing data from people. How I found out that an AI had stolen my art. So just out of curiosity, I wanted to check if my art has been scraped from the web and used by Stable Diffusion. They graciously allow you to do that on haveibeentrained.com. Behind this site is a site called spawning.ai, and they state in their Q&A that a copyright is an outdated system that is a bad fit for the AI era. They also state that, "We believe that the artist community will benefit from this AI training to be consensual." Let me explain briefly why I shudder when I read this. As an artist, the intellectual property right is the most important right I have. If I can't manage the rights to my art and decide who is allowed to do what with it, it becomes worthless. If everyone can just take it, how am I going to get paid? I didn't expect to find anything because my art isn't like the digital AI art style that you see a lot from these image generators. I go field sketching and create scientific illustrations. I'm not a very well-known artist either. But I was curious. The search result was a surprise. The site found countless examples of my art, scraped directly from my website and from other places on the web. What I found really unsettling is that the algorithm grouped many of my pictures directly together. I'm not sure if it really does that based on my style or on alt tag or URL properties. It was a creepy moment. However, to cast AI as a mere artistic plagiarizer would be a reductive view. Its true potential lies in its capacity for collaboration. Imagine an artist wielding AI as a brush, their vision amplified by the algorithm's ability to generate endless variations, explore uncharted territories of form and color, and even respond to real-time input. This collaborative dance between human and machine could lead to entirely new art forms, blurring the lines between traditional and digital, pushing the boundaries of artistic expression further than ever before. AI also holds the promise of democratizing art creation. Tools and tutorials powered by AI can equip anyone, regardless of skill or background, to explore their creative potential. Imagine a world where the limitations of traditional artistic training are transcended, and anyone can become a sculptor, a musician, or a painter. This democratization could foster a vibrant and diverse artistic landscape, where voices previously unheard can now find expression. The labyrinth of copyright, whose brushstroke owns the canvas. But this artistic utopia is not without its challenges. The rise of AI raises complex questions about copyright and ownership. Who owns the rights to the images used to train AI models? Can artists prevent their work from being used in this process, potentially diluting the value of their creations? And when AI generates art that combines fragments of existing works, who deserves the credit? Navigating this legal labyrinth requires establishing clear guidelines and ethical frameworks to ensure fair compensation and respect for artistic ownership. The ethical canvas, weaving responsibility into creativity. Ultimately, the impact of AI on the art world hinges on how we choose to wield it. We must prioritize transparency and consent in data usage, ensuring artists have control over how their work is employed. We must foster ethical boundaries around appropriation, distinguishing homage from plagiarism. And most importantly, we must invest in human creativity, nurturing the skills and perspectives that remain irreplaceable even in the age of algorithms. The future of art is not a binary battle between humans and machines. It's a canvas where both can co-create, where AI serves as a tool to amplify human expression, not replace it. By embracing collaboration, innovation, and ethical responsibility, we can ensure that AI becomes a brushstroke, not a blot, on the vibrant tapestry of human creativity.